Let's go, let's go. Hey, yeah, damn. Hey, yeah, damn. Big weekend. Big weekend. When you clear your thoughts, when you clear your mind. Oh boy, do we have chats going on. Hit that live button. Hit that live button. All right, we got a lot going on. All right, there are 3 areas that we got to work on. The first one is botenstein.com. Number 2 is the personal area that I'm opening up to everybody. And number 3, look at the way analytics are coming in hot. They're coming in hot. So look at the homepage now. The homepage now has, well, we got this because everybody's amazing. What's going on, Mark? We have this shorts area. This shorts area is now coming in every single time we produce news and everything else. Look at the background. We got something in the background. Can't really see it. It's nice. I love it. This area right here could be better, but essentially what we're doing is building out an area that people rely on. Let's turn this down so I can actually think a little bit. We can think a little bit. Let's turn this down. All right, so the first thing is I'm actually going to start to use all of the iCharles personal area, okay? The second is that we need to make sure there's news that is getting pumped out. There is a solid amount of building when it comes outside of iCharles. So that would be all of the apps. Obviously, this is the bugs, the bugaboos. We got a lot in the news, by the way. We got a lot in the news. We got energy is all over the place. You got Chevron making deals to make sure that everything is actually funneled through them. So Microsoft is now going to use Chevron. So Chevron is going from, what were their thoughts? Okay, we have battery operated everything. Where do we fit in? Okay, let's actually power the data centers. So now Chevron, Exxon, all the big boys are going to get involved. BP are going to get involved in energy that way. Then you also have energy where it comes to renewable resources, maybe even coal, still, oil, yes. Okay, then you have solar, eco, wind. I think that's going to go away. But most importantly, nuclear. Nuclear, I personally think is going to come online. Something very interesting as well. I think I closed out of it. But after hitting 225, XAI is now down to 185, I think. I don't know what it is today. That's actually a good point, Charles. Let's look at it, what it is today. Because I don't want to say I called it, but I want to say that I called it. S&P's up, not that much. But I sort of called it. It's China versus the United States, yes, but energy in China, and to be honest, for China, it's their population. It's the same thing in Japan, it's the same thing in South Korea, it's the same thing in Taiwan, it's the same thing. All of those countries produce either chips or something that we need in the United States. We have to be concerned about their population. China for decades did one-child policy, only men. Okay, then how do you procreate? Then you look at Japan. Japan's going down in population. You look at Taiwan. Maybe Hong Kong is the only one that's stable. Taiwan, we get obviously pretty much every chip comes out of Taiwan. Qualcomm. So when we think of AI, this is a global effort. This is I understand we put into the feeds area about Japan coming out with, there we go, Mark's sharing his little playlist. They introduced Shakana Fugo. I don't know how to say that, but apparently it matches Fable and Mythos. I don't know. First time I've heard of a Japanese model coming out and saying such frontier capability. That's a pretty bold statement to say, to be honest. To literally say they are Mythos. Granted, Open Router also said they can combine something to make. That was not true because it used Opus 4.8 and then every other free model up until then. I don't know about that. Do you see the news where the Japanese, yeah. That's what I'm saying. We need people to start benchmarking this. You know what? Forget about the benchmark. We need people to start using it. Because benchmarks right now, here you go. Just published it. It's at 174. It's at 174. Erasing a 620B in market cap. 620 billion in market cap. I said it last week. So this might have produced a video. It did not. But look at that. Look at these. Look at this. Look at this article. That is a banger article. We got topics, we got sources. Stay in the loop. This is what we're going to be known for. We bring people top of the funnel through. Obviously, you know what we got to do here? This is the next build right here. I like this. We need a new chat, and we are doing this. All right. Here we go. Let's send this out. Absolutely love this homepage feature where it brings in shorts, and the shorts are essentially automatically created after an article is created. When an article is created, the short is presented within the article, and people can watch it alongside the article or just watch the shorts. The thing is, on the homepage, is we need an infinite amount of rotating shorts without actually showing an infinite amount of rotating shorts in articles. What that means is show 5 at a time and then 5 more at a time. The latest, then the next latest, then the next latest. Look into the best way to do this on the homepage. It's very important that we implement this. All right, so we'll send that out. 2 other areas. Okay, so we're building out Botenston.com where developers can go in. They can submit their own ideas. They can essentially, this still is a persistent bug. This footer is a persistent bug. I was handling this all of last week. I don't know where this is coming from, but we need to get this handled immediately right now. Let's go right up here. We need to look into the persistent bug that there is a footer below the footer where there's completely empty space. As you can see in the screenshot, it is below the Botenston.com footer. This needs to be absolutely demolished. Just nuke it from my site. Awful user experience. I'm very disappointed in you. You got to talk to it like a child sometimes. Then you got to uplift it like a coach. You got to do both. Wow, it is hot right now. All right, implement. This was the shorts. So what I want to do is every single time an article actually is produced, a short is produced as well. It goes into the top and then it goes into the middle of the story. And to be honest, I was thoroughly impressed on how far I took this with one story. So that one story was the EA story. EA was laying off a bunch of people before it acquired another firm that is right here. So this one, I was testing it with EA and I said, okay, how good can you get this short? So this is the short. It comes in with music. Has a cross out of canceled. This looks good. Shows the sources of Bloomberg and LA Times. They cut 3 to 400. And it says, do you want to watch the news? Yeah, I do actually want to watch the news. And now look at this. Look at this. This is a full on iCharles.com where you can scroll up or scroll down. Obviously, this is just, that was actually the same. Oh no, it was different stories. But the background, I changed the background. I added in the love. This should pop out. Nope, that should not be a pop up. That should be a pop out. The share, all right, the share is good. The save should be there. You read the full story, goes right to it. Let's see, let's make sure that goes. Paradomics, okay. By the way, there is so much positivity when it comes to, we have to completely push back on all of the people that are in fear of AI and educate them that they need to transition into this new world. And by the way, this automatically goes. When I started Othello.com, I was not expecting, not Othello.com, when I was not expecting this was going to be it. All right, so this needs to actually pull in the story and not just a random face. So this was the Infinite Scrolls shorts. This is the Botenston.com This was making sure that you can log in. So that's very important. So you go to Botenstein.com, you refresh, you take this, you go into a new page. Actually, let's go into a new private page. Let's go over here, type that in. All right, so sign in. Let's go to one that you can't see my email. Let's go to this one. All right. Oh, look at that. Hold on, before I put in my email. This is good. So essentially, Botenstein.com. Let's explain it real quick. iCharles is just going to be the community. It's going to be the community. It's going to be the news. Botenstein.com is builders connected with people who need things built. And obviously, we already have that out. You have Upwork, you have Fiverr, you have a bunch of these that connect people. The problem is that there's no vetting process. So you have no idea who you are connecting with. I got screwed over $50K because of Salesforce developers did not actually want to build what I wanted to build. They just wanted to collect my money. I had no idea what was going in the background. They said it was built. It was not up to my standards. There was no way to get refunds. There was no way to vet the person besides just fake testimonials. One of them actually said, I'll leave you a 5-star if you leave me a 5-star. I'm like, I'm not going to leave you a 5-star because you didn't actually do the work, you noodlehead. So right here, I'm going to say, let's go, I'm a builder. So you have a builder or someone who submits a brief. Let's do both. All right, so let's go in here. I have to check my inbox. Let's check my inbox. Let's see if the magic link actually worked. Very important. Very important. This is why it's important, because we got BridgeMind freaking out about Fable. Dude, if Fable goes down, then we move on to something else. If something else goes somewhere, then you got to pivot. You got to pivot. By the way, hold on. Oh, okay. Riverside, I started using that. Let's go with this. Payment. All right, we got to send that through. The thing is, this summer is going to be the most summer. Oh yeah, look at that. It goes to localhost instead of actual Botenstein.com. Big error right there. We got to screenshot that. So when I go for the actual email, oh wow, it comes from that email. I don't even use that email. Okay. As you can see, the link to sign in is through localhost. This is not a good experience. This must be through Botenstein.com / obviously everything that you need. And obviously when I sign in or anyone signs in, whether it's someone who is looking to submit a proposal or someone that's an actual developer, they have to be vetted through me. Whether it's proposals or anything else, that's very important, especially on the initial sign up. Yeah, are you actually using the models though from Japan? Oh yeah, by the way, I'm getting actual iCharles notifications at the top. I'm getting iCharles notifications. News is out. Someone sent you a message. The US warns that China may have a better eValve chip. All right, let's send that out. And then let's replace that with Botenstein.com. Let's see if it works. Okay. All right. So now we're in. This is Botenstein.com. This is the back end. This should be the builder, not the... oh, wow. Wow. Okay. This is actually really good. This is really good. And now I'm getting a lot of messages on different news stories. All right. We'll work on that in a second. We do also have to get... who's restarting the service? We do have to do moderation. There is a lot of flags when it comes to security and analytics that I need to handle because we need crawlers. And we had 2 million for the month. We had 2 million for the month. And now we're having more news coming in. This is how many news articles are coming in now. Look at this. Oh. Are they rejected? Is ready. Why am I getting that? That's weird. That's weird. The news is not coming through. The news is not coming through. That's weird. All right, I got to look into that right now. We are not doing another time. That was create a unspecified. Just make there's another nightly. Make the freshness rule hard. Schedule is fine. Yes. Let's send that out. This is creating a elite video generation prompt. All right. And now the Botenston.com backend. That needs to be much better. Much better. This is what it looks like. I'll pull it up in a second. But I want to sign out. I should have been asked to actually come in here and let's go to iCharles community. That's better. That should have actually asked me. Well, I'm not going to go to members just yet. The news is not coming through. Oh, here it is. Unless this is the old news. Yeah, that's the old news. That's weird. That's weird. Let's bring this in. Builder Showcase. So this is Botenston.com. What about this website do we need to upgrade and make better? This is not the ideal way to actually be presenting projects. What we're doing is presenting projects from builders and developers that need to be connected to people who have and want proposals made for their website or for anything else in their life. Whether that's a website, a CRM, email management, whatever the case is, that needs to be done perfectly and have a back end where they are matching each other with a full admin area where I can moderate and regulate this. All right, so that needs to go out. And then we got to go over here. You know what we got to do? Let's just start a new one. We got to start a new one because this moderation is most important. Our analytics started going through the roof and we got to make sure that this is good. All right, let's go over here and nope. Let's go over here. What? Why am I losing it? There we go. Get out of there. Let's go up here. iCharles community. Whoop. Nope. iCharles community. Let's go to videos. We also need to make the calendar better. We also need to wire in the studio. Nope. Let's go to moderation. Let's go to analytics. Copy to Claude. 73,000 prompt. Let's send that out. That needs to happen big time. That needs to happen. Let's do some more moderation. Let's go to security. That's 12,000. That's nothing. Let's send that out. Let's go over here. Put that bypass. We need another one. Go over here. Articles. Very small. Well, we only had one article published, so we'll send that out. All right, we'll go over there. And we also need to, let's add in two more. I need the calendar to be much better. The calendar, and let's go to iCharles community. Let's go to personal. Let's go to calendar. See, it's good, but it's not good on mobile. That's the problem. Charles, you need to do a mobile pass. You need to do a mobile pass. Let's put this into this chat. And then also what I want to do is actually add in how calendar looks when I'm logged in. Let's go to calendar. Look at that. That is clean. That is clean. Let's send that in there. Why? So I can get away from Google Calendar. It's close, but it's no cigar. All right, let's go over here. All right, now let's do a prompt. We need to look at the 2 screenshots. Right now, the personal calendar that we have is pretty good, and it's very close to a mimic of the Google Calendar. What we want to do is look at the UI on the experience for Google Calendar as opposed to the personal calendar at iCharles.com. We're eventually going to be opening up a bunch of these features within the personal area to the members, and we need to make sure that not only are they working, are they beautiful, they're perfect on mobile, they're perfect on tablet, they're perfect on desktop, but also that all of the features work. There's weird pop-up modals that happen when I want to create a new event, and on there are areas that I don't actually use anymore, like content, ideas, to-do lists, things like that. So look at the pop-up modal, take screenshots, make sure you do a visual pass, light and dark mode to bring this up to speed, do a deep research and dive and analyze why we are not able to compete with Google Calendar just yet. I don't want to add in too many new features, if any. I want there to be all of the existing code base to be better. All right, let's send that out. Let's send that out. Let's go over here. For the 48, allow perplexity says fresh. All right, we'll say that if it's fresh. Create elite generation prompt where I need you again. Why do you need me again? Before batching, I provide every single time I caught a real bug. The replication is done, the engine is proven. How do you want to replicate new and past articles? New articles, automatic forever. Past articles, the 140 backlog. So why don't you tell me exactly what you are asking for? Because right now I like the EA Sports or the EA Games article, and I want that style to be replicated. The most important thing is the background image of the article, and you're not just pulling this at random. That's very important that the background article is from the actual article itself. And I want you to do the backlog of the last 30 articles. That's very important, and to make sure that it triggers for all new articles as well, that they're pulled in automatically and associated to that article. All right. By the way, it was weird. I went to a cemetery over this weekend. It's from like 1839 in Brooklyn. It's called the Greenwood Cemetery. And we took a tour. It was hot as sin. But the guy, let's go over here, infinite scroll of new shorts. Very important. Okay, so essentially what this was saying is when I'm on the homepage, let's get rid of shorts. When I'm on the homepage and I can't get there because we're restarting the server, boy, do I have so many videos that are backlogged. I need to send these out. This is the most important summer. That's it. In your lifetime, this is the most important summer. If you don't take advantage of the summer, you're behind. This summer, I'm going hard. I am doing 70.3 Ironman New York. I am not drinking, or at least non-alcoholic beverages. I am all non-alcoholic, if any. Just water, eating well, going to the gym, swimming, get in the pool, get on the bike, content. Gotta go hard in the paint. Gotta go hard in the paint. There are too many people sitting on the sideline. There's too many men that are just staring at their phone. They're doing nothing. The ladies are calling on men to be men. The girls who are not actually married are calling on men to be men. And they're sitting on their phone, passively just taking in content. It's embarrassing, to be honest. It's embarrassing. I was at the cemetery over the weekend, and I looked at it and I go, oh wow, this is how men used to build stuff. Beautiful, marble, granite, just unbelievable amounts of weight. We went to a guy's gravesite The marble, it didn't even look like this. The marble in which it sat on, in which everything else was on top of it, was 6 tons. It was 4 granite pillars on either end, and it was stunning. And it was, you look at it and you go, oh wow. We used to do granite, perfect granite circular columns with unbelievable brownstone style with marble, which isn't the best for the outdoors. But you look at that and you go, oh wow. And now we just scroll on social media. What's weird is this thing is giving me notifications. All right, so the real gap is proposal projects. It exists, but is hidden and unpolished. Okay, you already have proposals and projects marketplace. Owner posts, builders bid, owner picks, becomes a project. Where's the core problem in it? Don't ask me what the core problem is until you actually discover what the core problem is, especially visually and through the code base, and making sure that everything works. And there's obviously permissions between the builder and the actual person who puts out the proposal so they can work together. And not only that, we also need an area where the actual developer can put out their own apps and websites publicly on the showcase on boatenston.com. That's very important. We need to build that next because we have a lot of projects that are coming out. And we want to showcase them and charge people for what we're actually building. All right, so that goes out. The one on the left is the home page. All right, so the home page on the left should be an infinite. Obviously, I'm not going to wait here. What is that background? Oh, okay. I was going to say. So essentially you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one's about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. It's probably 2 seconds each. Then it goes on to the next one. I think I want to make this bigger though. I want to make that bigger. That's on the home page. Let's make that bigger. Let's go over here. Yeah, by the way, did you know that France dropped Palantir? I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if they're actually doing it. On the iCharles homepage, I want you to look at the right side of the actual shorts that are being produced. And I have a screenshot. Obviously, the short is a nice size. The problem is that the right side of it, the article that's with it, should have maybe a little bit more, but it's not more than the actual height of the shorts. We need to make sure that every single height of the shorts and the actual story are the same. So if that means the title with the excerpt and maybe some of the TLDR or the key takeaways or whatever you think is necessary, maybe the key takeaways, but make sure the article area does not go above or below the shorts area. All right, let's send that out. All right, so that's doing that. Need the scope. Any service needed, any category. That's branding. Yeah, let's do email CRM. Yeah, we could do that. Admin role, gatekeep on every match. Yeah, let's do that for now. And then we'll get to a point where I actually trust what's going on. Implement the app. So this was to make sure, I don't know. Oh, that was the, oh, okay. That was to make sure it was boatenston.com and not the local host. So we'll close that out. Thank you for your service. Go over here. Went to an amazing bakery, by the way, too. Like homemade bakery, fantastic. Just real bread. You taste real bread and you go, oh, okay, so what I get in the stores is not real. That's really what it comes down to. It tastes like crap in the stores compared to like real bread, where they make it and they're like, this is gonna go bad in 3 days, you have to eat all of it. You go, oh, okay. They're like, don't worry about it because it's real bread and nothing's gonna be recorded. The frozen decision. So this was design authentication between iCharles and boatenston.com. That should be good. Are we 100% certain that this chat is perfectly done. Let's send that out. And now we got to go to the moderation. Here we go, moderation. Let's go over here. Okay, so the article was done. Security, critical opens resolved, 109. This is the big one right here, 152. 152, that's a lot. The cover image has a real bug. It uses one shared. Fix the bug. Regenerate the last 30 with the fixed cover logic. Yes. All right, send that out. Let's move over here. These were the moderations, I think. No, these are the old chats. Okay, add Boatenston Analytics. Okay, we've done that. Let's get rid of you. Design the authentication. 100% done. Like to hear it. Let's get this smaller. Let's tighten that up. Let's move over here. This is the developer showcase. We also want to build out the 3 areas in which we are actually selling. So it is real estate, restaurants, and booking salons. All right, so we'll go over here. We'll send that out. Send this out. And also we need to find out what would be the next 3. What would be the next 3 that we could build or should build? Because Boatenston.com is now being brought in by the AEO, SEO. I want you to look at all 3 of these demos, and we need to have a actual standard that brings these together, so we're not actually building 3 separate CRMs, 3 separate email managements, 3 separate ways of doing the code base, or any of the AEO, SEO friendly blogs, articles, web pages. Make sure they're brought in by the AI models, the search engines, also to make sure that they're fast, up to Google speed, the highest Google speed for pages on loading, and also are as modern as possible looking. So there needs to be a standard, not actually standard among the design, but standard among the code base, so that when we build out more and more websites, we have already the same components and we're reusing the same components. I'm actually thinking right now that we have a unified component library, that if we're doing email management, or we're doing CRMs, or we're doing websites, or we're doing designs of websites, or taking in contact forms, or the admin area, or the back end, things like that, or the mobile pass, the tablets, or the desktop, it's more of a unified code base, so we're not continuously reinventing the wheel, and we're using existing code base that is working and perfect and obviously secure. So we need to look at the 3 that are launched, see that how we can actually unify this. There's something called paperclip.io or paperclip.ai, where they have a unified style of backend where they can manage up to 50 different companies on the exact same style when it comes to the unification of everything that I just talked about. So the first is to look at the 3 that we actually developed, and now we're going to develop 3 more with a unified backend based on the code base that you like from the 3 that we've developed. So if someone wants something that is very similar, or even if they just want a website and an email management, or a website, CRM and email management, we can deploy whatever we want. Also, as we get better in the code base on the interface, that we are essentially only updating one area of the code base and or database instead of all 10, because otherwise we're going to break 10 instead of just 1. This is very important. I need you to do deep analysis and research into this. All right, so that was a big one. We got to pump that guy up to at least extra high, you think? Yeah, let's go to extra high. Let's send that guy out in extra high. He's extra high, man. He's going out there, he's in the bayou, and he's just extra high. No, I had a buddy that just came back from New Orleans. All right, this is, oh yeah, by the way, here it is. It started at 135. Obviously, I didn't think, also Morningstar did not think that they would be doing well. And sure enough, they IPO'd 135. It went up to 225. 225 6 days ago. And now they're at 185. And that was on Thursday. I wonder what it's at right now. And they are now bringing in, you know what we should do? Just go to finance, Yahoo. Yahoo Finance is the best. Let's go over here. Let's find out where they're at. SpaceX, or it's XAI. Okay, now it's actually SpaceX. I thought it was XAI. You always look for the soul. The soul, you always say RIP, but you never know, you know. SpaceX, go to it, yes. Open the page. Wow. It's down $19. Dude, they cashed out. Wall Street cashed out, and now Main Street is getting the brunt of it. Look at this. Wow. 1 month ago. So it didn't even start. Yeah, pre-trading was at 149. Then went up to so it started at 150. I don't know why they're saying 135. And now it's at 165. What am I missing? Because it's more than 5 days old. So this is already pre-trade. Look at that. Look how 2.6, then no volume. That was probably a weekend. Then up to, look at how many shares are being, look at that dip. Something happened here. Wow. It went to 155. Went from, wow. Yeah, they need to, Oppenheimer came in. Oppenheimer funds or Oppenheimer? And then analyst ratings by someone else, KeyBank. Wow. Yeah, this is something I would not touch. Not investment advice. Don't take what I say with anything. But the ones that are really going to be hauling, the Qualcomms, the Microns, AMDs, Intels. Intel is now being brought in by Apple. How funny is that? Apple Silicon is now bringing in Intel again. They didn't really like each other. They went away from each other. I don't know when that was a couple of years ago. Many years ago. Actually, we got to continuously do my projects for renewing my license. All right, let's go down here. This is the moderation. This is the one we need to look at. This is the okay, so this is, all right. We need to make sure that in the future, this does not actually happen again. And the biggest thing when it comes to not happening again is that we are getting regeneratively better 1% every single day. And that means when there's a CRON job, the prompt that triggers the CRN job, the prompt is actually looking for and or fixing anything that is in the way of making sure that AEO, SEO is not blocking any crawlers or bots that are benevolent and blocking anything that is malevolent. Very important. All right, so this is the iCharles calendar. It said that, I'm gonna start using it, by the way. I'm gonna start using it. The problem was with the triathlon, which I gotta just look into that. We'll open up a new chat for that. It produced like 30 workouts on Monday. So we'll go up here and let's close out of there so it's easier. Let's take a clean link. Let's put it in the back end right here. I need you to look at any CRON jobs that have to do with triathlon, my coaching, or anything that reviews my sleep and triathlon data from Garmin. And that comes in through intervals.icu. And there's weirdly a crazy amount of workouts that are produced that go into my calendar. This is clearly a massive bug. I want you to go and find out why I get more than one workout per day that is actually a duplication. If there is a brick workout, which means that there's two workouts that are not the same, then that's fine. But when there is the same workout and it's duplicated, that's clearly a bug. Go and find that out. And also, how do we make the coaching for my triathlon better, whether it's the prompt or more often CRON jobs or even a better open router model to analyze my sleep and my Garmin. I have not actually recorded any Garmin data, so don't worry about that. I just need to make sure that we are looking forward to my A race, which is the New York 70.3. Nothing is hard-coded. Everything is pulled in by the database. Everything is also completely perfect on mobile when it comes to tablets, mobile, or desktop. We have to do a visual on both of those or all three of those passes, light and dark mode. Let's send that out. So essentially, I had a great triathlon coach. I cannot afford her. So I have to build my own triathlon coach. And okay, so this is my recommendation. Okay, improve all improvements. Suppress the PWA plus push prompts on that. Full light and dark mode, tablet. Okay. Why are you suppressing the PWA app? I don't understand that. I use the PWA app and all of the members use the PWA app. So essentially what I want to do is open up the PWA app, which is the app that you download onto your cell phone. And it's going to be where people go, and it could even have iCharles up here. Like if they're a PWA app, how do I have it where they just have access to iCharles.com and they can comment, it's really hard. That's really what it comes down to. I'm so happy there are so many bad something bags. I don't know what that means, sir. We did have the US Open at Shinnecock Hills. All right, so this is infinite. We'll trust that's good. That was an infinite scroll on iCharles. So when people come to iCharles.com, you refresh this infinite scroll right here. That should be an infinite scroll. Oh, wow. It looks better, but still. Wow. Okay, so now I need the chat for this. This was the infinite scroll on shorts. This was the... Is there anything in this chat that is the highest, hardest priorities that we still need to do when it comes to making sure that developers on Boatenstein.com can display their apps and templates and get paid for it? Obviously, there's moderation in the admin area by me. Okay, send that out. All right, so this was a unified code base. So essentially what I want to get to is Boatenstein.com, which is right here. Boatenstein.com is going to start putting out a lot of demos. So if you are a real estate agent, you have this, you have an agent login. Obviously, you enter the demo, and here's your backend. You're Elaine Marchetti. You're a luxury real estate specialist. You have your pipeline, you have your contacts, and it's actually really good for a one-shot. It's very good for a one-shot. You can add a task. Obviously, the pop-up modal could be better. I understand. However, it needs to give people a inspiration that they could build whatever they want, and they could build it with us, and we can give it to you. Like, you're a restaurant and you're paying for all these things. Let's go to restaurant. You have a happy hour. You could put in your own menu. You can reserve a table. You can get the app. Each of these have a PWA app. So in other words, I need a checklist for people that are like a contractor. I'm a painter. I live on Long Island. I have all these jobs. I have all these people. I have all these people going out. Or I'm a GC. I'm a general contractor. I'm going out. I'm Mark Miller, and I need to keep track of the invoices. I need to keep track of the payments, where my guys are, who's on, who's off, what are they getting paid, the timesheets. We can build that, and you can have it on your cell phone. It could be an app, and it's free. The app. It doesn't even have to be in the App Store. So that's what we're essentially building. But there has to be a unified code base. And essentially this is what it's talking about. So the unified code base, okay, so this is it. Here we go. Lead. Okay, identical. All right, so this needs to be expanded so we can actually view this. All right. Yes. DB, email sending. Partially unified. Yeah. So by unified, I don't mean that I host everything. You know, maybe we get there where we host that. However, what I'm thinking is actually a little bit different than that, where we have a component library that we can deploy on any new project. So if someone comes in and they need a CRM, they need a PWA app, they need a mobile-friendly coach for running, or they need AI assistance, or they need an AI coach, or whatever the case is, there needs to be a unified code base that people can easily, or we can easily as developers employ, or deploy is a better word, deploy. So it's a unified backend with database. So as updates come and we have 100 people that are using the same email system, all 100 people get the exact same deployment instead of individually updating every single person. I think that's the best way to do it. Before I was going to do individual. No, we're doing a unified. I think we just do a kind of like a, what do they call it? White paper, white list, where essentially it's the exact same, but you just put on someone else. It's kind of like what Salesforce is built on. They have millions of customers, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people on there, and they have the exact same back end and front end. You just customize it to your liking. All right, so it is saying multi-tenant core optional, dedicated deploy for premium contents. Yes, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. All right, the highest, hardest priorities are still blocking developers, display the apps, and get paid. I verified each. Templates can be sold but never delivered. Okay, well, you need to do all of those. You need to do 1 through 3 and do it perfectly. I think it's the licensing, that's why. Let's send that out. Infinite scrolling. Oh, this is the infinite scrolling. Okay, we need to take a screenshot of this. Yeah, it still doesn't look good. We gotta potentially do, you know what we need to do is have the actual article and not the excerpt. And what I'm thinking is that we format it like the article. So if the article is only about 100 words in the first paragraph, then we have a line, and then we have the next words until it fills up the box, and then we have keep reading button. So essentially we are truncating based on the height and the bottom of the actual shorts. So it looks better, because right now, obviously, it's not filling up the space. It doesn't look good. I think what we should do is have the title and then have the articles, but have the HTML within the articles and not just a unformatted text. That's very important, so it doesn't look bad. And it's the actual article and not the TLDR, and it's not the excerpt. All right, that's very important. All right, so see, it is. Next question, the tenancy data boundary for the shared services. This is the load bearing one I flagged earlier. Now scope it out. When you have 100 clients, all with the shared email CRM, one shared database, all 100 clients live in one database per tenant, isolated multi-tenant, pooled by default, dedicated DB for premium regulated, strong isolation easily, but now you run migrations across and lose instant for everyone. What? Why would you have a shared database? I don't understand that. One shared database on every row, pooled multi-tenant, all 100 clients contacts live in one database. Every query oh, okay. Cheapest, simplest to operate, instant schema, updates for everyone. This is the paperclip. The risk is missing filter leaks across clients, mitigated by forcing everything through a never raw SQL, which is the shared. A with C. Pooled by default, dedicated DB for premium. Okay, so let's do your recommendation. All right. A, and I was going to say B doesn't make any sense. Each one has their own database, and then you're just, wow, that'd be a heavy lift if you're doing any kind of updates. All right, so let's bring up some more chats. All right, what are we doing here? When you open the calendar inside the install PWA, does the iTrellis app install module actually pop up? Actually, that's a good question. When I'm in the PWA app, so when I'm in this app, the iTrellis app, and I go away from the home page, I go here, I go to personal, and I go to calendar. This is what it looks like. It's not bad. I don't know if it's actually coming up. So it's asking the pop-up modal. Yeah, but it looks like crap. Wow. This is what I mean. Why am I doing the pop-up modal? Here we go. And so I just sent that because that was this is what it looks like on mobile. That looks terrible. That looks terrible. Like, this shouldn't even be here either. That needs to go away. That needs to go away. Okay. Let's bring this up here so I could resource it again. Whoops. Install nudge. Never see it in the app. Yes, it pops up. Not sure, haven't noticed. Yes, it pops up. You know what? If this isn't a good question, web visitors, leave both as is. Install nudge. Push prompt only. You know what? We're just going to cancel that. That's a stupid question. That's a dumb question. Let's go over here. As you can see, the top area where it has call, project, all that needs to go away. None of that makes sense anymore on what we're doing, so that needs to get removed. Also, you need to do actual visual passes on mobile, because that's exactly what the PWA app, as you can see when I press the new button, it looks terrible. Nothing actually makes sense when it comes to all the fields and the size of the fields. They don't fit. We need to do massive mobile push on calendar, and to only move forward once the entire calendar on mobile is completely fixed, up and running. All right, let's send that out. Because I'm going to start using the calendar. And once I start using the calendar, I'm going to then start using the docs. All right, let's get rid of that. Thank you for your service. Go over there. And the docs, so essentially, all right, we got new news. All right, so the moderation might be done. Let's go to Studio. Let's renew. Okay, 152, wow. Okay, so that apparently just cleared everything out. The security's down to 14. All right, good. Let's see if any articles. Why is the articles not working? I do not understand this. Is it auto-publishing? Is that why? I think it just auto-published. Oh, no, oh, yeah. Now, why are the articles not working? This is not... okay, so that's a moderation. A nightly analytics crone already detects benevolent versus malevolent. Auto-fix the safe class. Detect, verify. Malevolent... Okay, detect versus verify only. Never auto-mutate. Self-tuning. Yes, it's self-tuning. Source of truth. Robots plus app layer. Also Cloudflare edge rules. Yes. Yeah, plus edge rules. All right, let's send that out. And this is the iTrellis security, so that should be good. Let's get that out of there. Floor raised. Now structurally impossible for tomorrow's events. All right, good. But we still need the iCharles articles to be working. I think what is happening is the shorts are interfering now. The shorts are interfering. It's saying server side, the library's type functions. All right. My recommendation is strongly A. All right, continue. Continue. And we need where's the other one? There's a third one somewhere. All right, let's go to Visual Studio. Here we go. All right. So it's still broken. This is still broken. I put in 10 URLs from today. I pressed generate and it did not generate. Do a deep analysis on why this is happening and not actually going into an area where I can actually publish it in this URL. And I'm getting, oh yeah, I'm getting, this is on what, Discord? Yeah, Discord. Moneymaker, automation. All right, so that needs to be looked into as well. And let's give you the URL because it's not actually working. It is not working. Let's go to unpublished. This is where it should be. And this was working forever. I don't understand how easily this could break. It breaks so easily. Here's the URL. Let's go over here, send that out. All right. This guy, pardon the iCharles. Okay, so that's good. Let's get you out of there. And let's go over to here. Some of the requests are specific apps that are showing. Oh yeah, let's do a couple of bugs. Let's get rid of a couple of bugs. Let's go to here. Let's go to feed. Any requests? Inside jokes, app requests, dating app. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. So Charles could get married and have a little vibe coders of his own. Oh boy, that's funny. That's funny. We'll feature request, app requirements. If Botenstein, the bot site, host apps, then developers must have clear requirements to be able to set an app. That's a good idea, actually. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. A lap counter. All right, so let's go to bugs. This should have been already completed. We'll say completed. We will send it out right here. All right, so this was the triathlon. Okay. From this chat and all of the research that you did in this and making sure that you are continuously getting 1% better, I as a triathlete am also getting 1% better. How would you make this app, whether it's visual passes, whether it's the coach, whether it's the prompt, whether it's the CRON job, whether it's more than just once a week, whether it's studying my analytics better, or maybe improving the open router model to make sure that it's the best that we can use, including paid. What would you do to make this to be elite levels where we can eventually resell it? There we go. There we go. Let's sit down for 13 seconds. Am I out of the camera frame? Let's see. Let's go down here a little bit. Let's adjust that. Let's adjust this. All right. So let's send that out. That is the triathlon, which is going to be on my mobile, and it stinks on my mobile right now. It absolutely stinks. So if you go to personal, you go to triathlon. So it's working on it right now. 96 days. 96 days. Is it really the 26th? Is it really the 26th? Okay, so that's good. That's late in September. I thought it was a week earlier, so that's good. So essentially, I need to just combine these. I don't need all this trash. I need a full visual pass right here. Need a full visual pass. All right, so this one is unified code base. 16th vertical, cost a config schema. All right, so this is unifying the Botenstein. And okay, so this should have worked, all done. Okay. We had a great idea from the actual request on this website is that developers want to know what these standards are to actually pass and get accepted, or their app or their website template. Ooh, what if I had a backend that developers can essentially fork in GitHub and create their own apps or create their own, pretty much everyone does that. That's nothing new. We had a great idea from the actual requests. Where would we, in your recommendation, have this land? Is this Botenstein.com homepage? This is someone that's an actual developer, and we have a pop-up modal which actually shows if you are a developer, here's the standards, here's the requirements, something like that. Maybe that's probably on the website. Yeah, I'm getting your video's ready notification, which is weird because it should say your story is ready and not your video. What changed the card now is infinite scrolling. Okay, so this is the home page. Is there any priorities or items that you would do within this chat based on what you saw, and make sure that this is actually a continuous infinite scroll? Once you hit 5 stories, then it scrolls to another 5 stories, then another 5 stories, then another 5 stories, then another 5 stories, and it's continuously infinite. Also, we need to go to shorts as well. The shorts is not, okay, the security standards already has enforced rules, generate the scanning rules. The page renders from the actual scan rules plus the review states in code. So what promise to developers can we drift from? With the scanner reforce, auto listed hard rules. Yes. Handwritten intro? No. Auto synced. Yeah, let's do that. Yes, do that perfectly. And also make sure that as we're building in the future, all of the 3 websites that we already built are on this unified code base, and then so is the 4th one, and so is the 5th one, and so is the 6th one. So as we introduce better CRM, better email management, better websites, better contact forms, better database, better architecture, better interfaces, that they all are uniform when it comes to making sure it's to the highest standards of AEO, SEO, and interface being modern, chic, responsive on all screen sizes, including mobile, tablet, desktop, and light and dark mode. And there is a excellent backend for the people who actually own the websites. Unless each one is completely unique. That could be an idea. That could be an idea. You do one-offs. All right. This is... Okay, so this is the triathlon. Okay, great question. Here's time. Model tiering. Yeah, we're not actually opening this up to the public just yet. I need to test this going into New York 70.3. So we need to make sure that I am the test dummy. I am the person that's demoing everything. Everything also is sending out a notification through the PWA app. It looks perfect on the PWA app. Also, there needs to be some kind of unification in the actual menu options. There's a lot. I attached the actual screenshot. How would you make them better, simpler, yet very profound and action-oriented? So I know exactly what's going on based on the workload going into the race. And obviously we need to also incorporate periodization and the week before a race that we do a taper. There we go. We're doing some triathlon talk right now. Yeah, boy. You need another mentor. Taper. There we go. Let's send that out. I forgot the screenshot. This is the screenshot. There are way too many. Okay, so I actually like that, if that's real. Let's include the screenshot. If that actual area where it shows where I am on the horizontal New York 70.3 is good, but also look at the screenshot, which I've actually attached and forgot to attach before, that you have way too many menu options and they need to be combined. There also needs to be an area that actually records the races and how good I did in the races, and also understands where the race is, whether it's high elevation, it understands the course, it understands the actual distance, how the swim is, how the bike is, what's the temperature, what's the average water temperature, all those things, because I need to use you as the coach when it comes to nutrition and salt and sodium and carbs going into the actual race and training. So all of that needs to be actually at the highest levels within the actual coaching. All right, let's, I have that saved. I'll collapse 8 triathlon tabs into tighter race focused chips instead of 3. Today, plan progress. Today, plan progress races. Today, plan progress. Let's do today, plan progress. And you're in the sole test athlete going into New York 70.3. You want PWA push on key events, which notifications should fire to your phone. Today's workout. Weekly plan is ready. Red flags. And send that out. All right. I'm super stoked about that. All right, so these are the action items on the analytics. On the analytics, we obviously want to make sure that all of the bots and crawlers that are coming through, looking at our news, looking through our articles are perfect, amazing, incredible, pulling it in, AEO, SEO. Is there anything here that you would actually recommend that we continue to improve? We are always getting 1% better every single day. All right, send that out. As you can see at the top area where it has the, all that needs to go away. Okay, so that's on the calendar. The calendar, let's refresh it. The calendar, I'm gonna go away from Google Calendar. I'm gonna be going away from Google Docs. I'm then gonna go away from Google Drive. And I'm just gonna condense as much as I can. On my cell phone, on up here. All right, let's go to calendar. So it should have went away from, okay, good. Okay, good. But this still needs to be the length. It needs to just be a better interface. It just needs to be a better interface. It needs to literally mirror the original one that I sent out. All right, let's get this. The iTrails process was stopped when members were mid-session. I restarted it, okay. For my early analysis, 2 issues remain that I did not touch. Okay. Yes, do all those perfectly, but I included, again, for the 50th time, a great way that Google does their calendar. Right now, you can see from the screenshot, we are not copying Google at all. We still have a buffer. It still looks bad on the right and left side of the calendar. We need to deep dive into taking a screenshot of what it looks like that I have right now, coding it to match the original screenshot in the original prompt, which is up at the top in the beginning, and matching it. And you keep on taking screenshots and coding, taking screenshots and coding until you actually get it done and it looks perfect. All right, let's send that out. The races tab needs full course data. Yes. Most of it is empty in your, how should it be? Coach auto researches, you confirm. No, this is completely, This is completely the coach doing this through LLMs, through OpenRouter. This has nothing to do with me. All I do is insert the actual URL. You go out, you pull in the date, you pull in the distance, and there could be multiple distances for each of the races. So you come back and I actually select whether it's a sprint, Olympic, half, or full triathlon based on those distances. This is completely automated, has nothing to do with me. Thank you. Whoa. All right, we got a critical from security on Honeypot. It tripped. Visitor says, okay, so they ultimately say to dismiss. All right, good. Let's send that out. Nutrition, personalized from your sweat data. Guideline, no sweat test. Coach computes carbs. Yes. 60 to 90, probably 90. Fluid, yes. Humidity and your own concentration from training sessions, most accurate, but needs you to log a sweat test or two. No sweat test. All right, so this is the... I need you to do all of that perfectly. Not only that, you need to make sure that we are not hitting any errors going into the future. We're continuously getting 1% better. So this isn't just fixing right now. This is a permanent solution going into the future. Do all of this perfectly. So essentially what it's saying is it needs to audit the citations that were included in the article. All these are going out. Let's go over here. This was implement scrolling. Okay, so this should be the core test, continuously infinite, 5, then 5, then 5 forever. It is working now, guaranteed. Thank you for your service. You are getting blocked out. Do you have any of these? And also, what is the highest, hardest priority? Which one was this? This was looking into a doc. Oh, this was the docs. Wow. Is there any high, hard priorities that we need to focus on within this area? This is a very big push that we're going to end up opening to our members, and it needs to be done perfectly, especially on every single screen size, whether it's mobile, tablet, desktop, light and dark mode. We need to do visual passes. Obviously, if a local host is taken, then you go to another local host and you continue going until you have a free local host and you don't collide with any other MCP tools. All right. Come on. Send out. Why is this a thing is not here? I know. What's going on? What's going on? Why is this a thing? Not here. Not accounted for. The genuine that makes this genuinely good, your auto syncing choice. Yeah, no, we're not doing auto syncing. I don't understand. Clean tree, okay. We had a great idea from the request in the website is that the developers want to know what these standards are. Oh, okay. All right, perfect. That's to make sure that this is Mark's excellent idea, which was up over her. Okay, finally. We finally got an article. Yeah, but it's a terrible one. Like, what the heck is this? This is trash. You're getting rejected. All right, let's get that out of there. We don't need any general June. All right, the part that makes this genuinely good, metabuys from Crusoe data centers. Why is this? We got to make sure that your video is ready. All right, we need to notifications on. Oh, it's doing the last 30 videos. Got it. Notify on iCharles PWA app. Okay, so what it's doing in the background, I'm getting all these notifications on my phone to my right, and it's saying all the videos are actually, all right, so this is the docs. It looks good. I'm ready to use this. I might just go and just start using it. Look how clean that looks. Look how clean that looks. The actual 3 do not work though. That does not work. That should be, all right. So we'll look into that. I gotta also look into the articles as well. This is, having read the actual code, 2 of my 3 ideas were weaker than I pitched. Honest reassessment. 2 is wrong by design. Is intentional. All categories already get an instant index. Moving essays. Okay, number 3, citation tracker only. 3 plus permanent health monitor. Build the AEO citation tracker and a self-healing nightly health monitor that catches future Okay, yes, I agree with that. All right, send that out. This is the triathlon. Okay. Spec written and committed. Yes, I agree with this spec. I approve it. Now let's ensure that we're also incorporating multiple races, which I'm going to be doing going into the future, and understanding which ones are A, B, and C races. That's very important. A race, most important. B, least, then C, less than B. Okay. Then build that spec out perfectly. All right, so they're building videos in the background, which is good. Verify the bug. This is the notification within, okay. So everything is verified within this chat. So this was the notification on comments, was not actually working. Let's open up a new chat. Let's bring it over here. Let's bypass permissions. Let's go over here. Everything is verified. Just say yes, and it'll close you out. Come on. One caveat. Yes, everything is observed via tools. Concretely, what I personally ran and saw. Okay. One obvious caveat. The Chrome Devs MCP wasn't connected to the session, so I did not take a real... Okay. This is a real problem that keeps on occurring. The MCP tool is a very, 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 very large issue right now. I want you to take all of my money and all of my tokens and spend it to find out what in the heck is going on and why are you messing up so much when it comes to actually doing the MCP tool. This is an extremely big bug that we've been working on for a week and a half, and you are the greatest of all time, the GOAT. You are the Tom Brady of coding, and you're going to find out why this is not working. You are the 7-time world championship. Yeah, it's 7, right? Not 6. I really don't think the articles are readable. They're sort of convoluted, and I like reading them. There's stuff everywhere, just kind of brain reformat. Potentially. It's actually more for... okay, which MCP am I hunting? Chrome Dev Tool, yes. What does the messing up look like? Wrong, stale results. Tools are present, but calls, they just don't work. Chats just continuously say they cannot either do the actual visual pass or they are unable to do the visual pass. This is extremely important. Yeah, the articles aren't really for us. They're for the AI. That is answer engine optimized, which means that when someone has a question and they go to AI, AI gives them an answer. Kind of like right now I'm going to an answer. So SEO is you search the web, you give a website, for then you to go and look up the website. AEO is I search the web for you, I look up the website for you, and I give you the answer. So one is searching, I search, the other one gives me an answer. And that's essentially where obviously everything is right now. You just go for the answer and not I do the research. You do the research, you come back with the answer. How deep should I go? Full agent workflow, deep single thread dive. Yeah, deep. We're not sending out multiple agents. What a... okay. Has no dark mode colors. Yes. How do you not have dark mode? I've been saying that literally since the beginning. And you don't have dark mode? Okay, so this is talking about dark mode. This is Google Docs. Okay, full desktop toolbar. Yes. All right, perfect. Build developer showcase. All right, Botenston.com. These are the standards. That's interesting. Oh, developer sign-in. Interesting. Interesting. Whoops. All right, so what I'm doing is standardizing the, you know what I want to do is standardize the Botenston.com. Standardize Botenston.com web components, if possible. If possible. You know, if someone wants to sign up, do their own website, do their own email, everything talks to each other. There's plenty of those. I don't know if I want to go that route. I think I want to go the custom route. I think I want to go this route. Obviously, yes, of course, the restaurant doesn't. This is part of the MCP tool not working. You know, that's just... Is there anything within this actual search that you would recommend that we continue doing? The highest, hardest priorities only. Look right before it. No, you need to do the visual passes for me on light and dark mode and responsive on tablet, desktop, and mobile. Very important that we do all of that. Don't ask me to do anything before moving on. You're doing everything perfectly. You're doing visualization when it comes to any of the components that you are coding on all screen sizes to make sure that it passes at the highest standards, elite standards, and that before you move on, it's perfect. Then you continuously move on. You're not asking me to move on. You move on your own, doing everything perfectly. That's the problem. It does. Well, we did section 1. We did section 1. Okay, then do that. We've been talking about that for a while. Let's do this. Yes, do this. Yes, do this. All right, send that out. Now we got to come back down to here. What's our usage at? What's our usage at? Over 50? Wow, I can't believe that. Oh no, it just reset. Okay. 2 times usage for co-work. Interesting. You think they're doing that so they can train their own models? No Nikes, Charles. I almost said the S words. We don't curse anymore now that we're resolved the iCharles moderation. Highest, hardest priorities only. Is there anything left in here that you would recommend we do? All right, so this is the moderation, and then we also have this one right over here that we need to check in on. I've confirmed the server pipeline works. Okay, I'll check report the code, just reload the page and retry first. I'll check and report the code. Yes, do that. This is, okay. Is there anything that you'd recommend? We only want to be producing the highest, most elite premier shorts based on the articles in which we produce. Very important that we do this. Also, I think we should potentially do another 10 more and also do visual passes to make sure they're up to our standards and make sure that all the buttons on the right side on the shorts when you actually are viewing the /shorts work. What I noticed is that the comment actually is a pop-up modal. It should not be a pop-up modal. It should be a pop-out modal on the right side. So when I press comment, the comments are already there, like on Instagram. When I go through and scroll through the reels, the comments and all of that is already popped out on the right side, and they can just easily comment. That is obviously for the desktop. On mobile, it's different, but we don't want pop-up modals. We want easy within the interface to have a user experience where it's beautiful and is connected to the article comments. And also, yes, I want you to do the light and dark mode. We don't need to do the voiceover now. Yeah, we're not doing that. Okay, so it's asking me to generate again. This is just, I can't believe we built such an elite thing and then it just breaks. All right, let's go over here. What's a big one? Yeah, Alan Greensam. I didn't know he was 100. That's crazy. No, whoops. Let's go over here, studio articles, generate. Okay, so it's saying generating in the background. I just started generating right now. Track it, monitor it. Don't push it along, just monitor it. All right, let's send that out. My recommendations for keeping shorts elite, which should I build next? Auto quality gate every, yes, of course. Auto quality gate every short, self-critique, auto gen, cover quality, After each render, a visual pass reads the frames and scores it, yes. If it fails the bar, it auto regenerates once with fallback, makes elite time systematic, not manual. Some article covers are detect local and fallback to the gradient or flag for a better image per article. Right now, they share a similar look. Add a per mode gradient. Yes. Some articles are screenshots and look bad as a cinematic background. Detect low quality covers. Yes. We also need to make sure that every single article becomes a short. This is very important because every article needs to have its own shorts and added into the shorts. The newest and latest at the front and at the top. And it also needs to track the user to make sure that if they come back to the website, they are viewing different shorts than what they previously saw. All right, so now let's go to the comments UX. Let's see what it says there. Send that out. Comments on Shorts desktop, confirm the Instagram mode. Docked, open to the right as you scroll. Desktop, a persistent comment, yes. Mobile, bottom sheet on tap. This is what you described, dock right, but collapse, open by default. Let's go with that. Next 10 or more. Generate 10 shorts for the next 10 oldest. No, generate the next 10, then run a visual. Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. All right. Okay, well, clearly, what is it still running in the background? I don't want you to interfere with it, but tell me if it's actually running, yes or no, in one word. All right, so that's making sure the articles, because that was bringing in a lot of analytics. That was bringing in a lot of people. All right, the shakedown needs Polar and Cloudflare tokens that aren't on disk. How do you want to proceed? Build the push shakedown tooling now, no tokens. Let's do that. Dude, I cannot believe that the Cloudflare is just such a pain in my rear. It's just always asking for tokens. Okay, so, well, if that's the case, then something happened. Go and do research and find out what the heck is happening. All right, this is obviously something that needs to be looked at. Don't ever come back to me with any questions except for solutions that you already did. Don't ask me to do anything. You're doing this all on your own like a big little boy. You got to put it in its place every once in a while. That is just a big little boy. That's a little counterintuitive. You now want every article to have a short. No, 10 more now. Just the next 10. Then full no, just the next 10. And then per user seen tracking, prioritize unseen, newest first. Yes. All right, let's send that out. It's logically sound. All right, on phone in dark mode, the editor goes full screen, edge to edge, no floating. Should the full bleed writing also be dark or white? We'll go with the highest standards when it comes to this answer. I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest, because I never use dark mode. Let's send that out. All right, let's go over here. This is the calendar. All right, let's see what it looks like on desktop, because to be honest, thoroughly disappointed in desktop. Let's go over here. Let's go to calendar. Okay, there we go. Finally. Oh, that's weird. That's weird. Why would it go to... I wonder if I can link... and then where does that go? Yeah, that goes to the same thing. Journal. Whoops, not journal. Calendar. All right, so this should show the workout. This should show the workout. This is the calendar. Let's bring the calendar. Oh, did I already lose it? All right. Let's go over here. This goes over here. And this is the calendar. There needs to be a complete mesh between my triathlon calendar and the personal calendar. In other words, when I click on open, it needs to populate with my workout. This is API referencing each other, so I don't need to press open and then it goes into the triathlon day individually. Very important that when I am in calendar and I press the workout, that the actual workout from the triathlon is populated. Very important. And anything else that is necessary when it comes to making the calendar much better. All right, so now it's opening Chrome on my own computer right now, down in the bottom. That's not what we want. That's not what we want. And where's Chrome then? It opened... It's weird, it's doing a visual pass in localhost, yet I'm on my Mac Pro. That's interesting. I didn't even know you can do that. All right, so let's close out of there. Let's close out of here. Okay. Some of your profile content. All right. All right. Well, let's close out of here then. This is the moderation. Number 2 is smaller, safer win. Number 1 is the one that de-risks the autonomous mutation. Do 1 and 2. I hate how it defaults to, okay. So this was the MCP, was just the bug, is single and was killing the entire visual pipeline. Root cause, proven, not guessed. It launched, was refactored in a non-interactive bash script. Okay, the MCP bridge speaks JSON. So the bridge launched, connected to Chrome, printed its banner, then instant. Wow. Okay, so that did nothing correctly. Wow. One thing I will not lie about. This fix does not help the current session. MCP servers spawn once at session search and the session already came up. The 29 tools come back on your next load session. I verified the server now works. I cannot do a live visual pass in this chat. Oh, no. So all of these cannot... Make sure that this is working perfectly, because what we're going to do is start new chats and start over. Right now, I am not happy with you messing up when this is the most elite vibe coding community in the entire world. This was actually mentioned by the Vibe Coding magazine for 2026. This needs a Perplexity API. No, we don't. A Perplexity API? Get out of here. How much do they charge? By the way, Perplexity is out of control. They got, I think they tripled their, let's see, upgrade plan. Wow, 34, oh, that's for business. Okay, I was gonna say. 4,000 bonus credits, Perplexity computer. I don't need any of these. Computer credits, what does computer credits mean? Yeah, I don't think I need any of this. Let's look up Perplexity API. API cost. $3 per million and $15 per out token. Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, that's Sonar Pro that they're saying. So I guess we don't need that, but still, that's wild amount of money. Let's see if I can get that from OpenRouter actually. Can you use OpenRouter instead of actually the Perplexity API key? If so, just say yes or no after deep research and being able to connect it. And also, what would the cost be and why do we need it? Say that in 3 sentences max, only 150 words or less. There you go. Because when I say 3 sentences, it's like 500 words. And it's like, what are we doing here? Let's see if it actually has Perplexity. I am going away next week, or this week. I'm going away Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I have to go upstate. I have to open up our house. It's going to be a big test, to be honest, because if I can get Wi-Fi up there, which I know I can't. I think my sister can. It would be terrible on actually vibe coding up there. But I was thinking if I can vibe code in an area where I can just scream and just be normal, that would be the ideal situation. I have a standing desk. I have a treadmill under me. I got my bike right next to me. I can literally go from my triathlon bike right outdoors up the 9W, hit Bear Mountain, find my wife, find my wife in the mountains. All right, do all 6. Yes. Yes. Why do you ask me? Yes. Let's go over here. Yes. Build developer showcase. Okay. If you paste them now, I'll shake down myself to sections and then, okay. We're not going to be doing the, should we just do, yeah, I wonder, polar? All right. You know what? Let's delete that. Is there anything in here besides the actual polar access tokens in webhook secrets that we need to do besides that? And by the way, the CF token optional, just don't even bring up CF token right now because I've given you so many tokens from Cloudflare. I'm ready to smash my head against the metal pole. All right, let's remove that because obviously people are suing. I'm about to pull a Dumb and Dumber and stick my tongue on a pole that's freezing cold and then be, okay. Yes, I tested it in live with your existing OpenRouter key. Cost is nightly run. That's fine. All right, perfect. Wire it up, make it perfect, test it, and make sure you're done excellent, elite, and premier. There we go. Let's send that out. Let's go over here. This is a concurrent process is editing the Boatenston tree. My foundation is, okay, yeah, we need to start new trees. New work trees in Claude and memory and more markdown files. Beyond the polar secrets, two things make the Cloudflare. Okay, your Cloud is on disk. Reads the Cloudflare, add one line fallback. Yes. Unblocks. Yes. Yes. There you go. Do all that. A concurrent process is doing that. Proceed, pause, proceed with the branch only. Yes. All right. This is the calendar. So the calendar, if I refresh it, it should bring up my triathlon. Ooh. That's nice. I don't know what these steps are. Then immediately transition run for 60 minutes, focusing on settling the heart rate to within 3 minutes of transition while shortening the stride. Okay. All right. 100 watts is nothing. That's nothing. What are the steps? I don't understand the steps. I don't understand what the steps are at the screenshot you could see, as well as making sure that we are on track for the full plan for 70.3 New York. And also make sure you're doing visual passes and getting this calendar up to Google standards so we can release it to the members. And they're asking, the calendar is now a genuine Google competitor. That's false. The workout start time is hard-coded to 6 a.m. So all workouts start at 6 a.m. regardless. That's fine. I can wire that through so they land at the correct hour. Yeah, that's fine. Any workout starts at 6 a.m. Not a big deal. All right, send that out. All right, let's go over here. All right, those are still working. This is the forgotten chat up here. Let's close this out. All right, so that's the news. All right. You are not finishing your sentences. Yes, I know. Today, well, this weekend, I should say. This weekend was very impactful weekend. I know exactly, I was using my iCharles a lot. The articles, unfortunately, were not working, but we'll actually end on the news because I will be gone for 3 days while we open up this house. And let's close out of this. All right, let's go over here. That is get my CE credit. Where is my, let's go over here. Let's add that up there. Where's the news? I wanted to go over a couple of news stories. All right, so number one, Greenspan dead, 100 years old. Everyone has a soul. Hopefully, well, you never know. Bain, this is very interesting. What do places like Bain, like Accenture, what are these huge, massive companies that are consulting firms? You know, it clearly says consulting firm. Consulting means you come in, you do a job or you do a project and you leave, and or obviously they want to have a retainer fee, monthly retainer fee. They get paid a lot because, I don't know, maybe they're not good at some area of reorganization. They need to know who's the weak link, money, marketing, whatever. This is very interesting. How vibe coding became a deal tool. Vibe coding, the practice of building software by describing the features in plain ink to an AI tool which then writes the code, has moved from a consumer novelty to a professional evaluation instrument in Bain. Staffed arm with tools like Anthropic's Claude Code can attempt to recreate the core functionality of a SaaS platform in days rather than in months. Look at this. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable. You know what's also unbelievable? Mark Miller, no ladders. Look at this. Look at this. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Vibe coding at Bain in Capital. How crazy is that? How crazy is that? You literally have one of the top consulting firms in the world doing Bain and Capital vibe coding. Vibe coding. That better generate. How funny is that? Let's put this out. Where am I? Oh, here it is. How interesting is that? Whoops. Bain and Capital. Bain and Capital. You know what we're going to do? We're going to remove that because I want to create an article from that. Vibe coding is the future. Whether you do it live on video or you don't do it live on video, it is still the future. If Bain and Capital is literally doing that, we'll go over the news real quick. Adobe undervalued. So obviously this is allegedly not investment advice and completely made up. This is not real. This is a PR story. This is paid for by Adobe. Potentially there's rich investors who want to get out of Adobe and they want it propped up before they get out. And, you know, you go to Mike Burry and you say, hey, listen, I'm the famed 2008 housing crisis trade and Tobias Carlyle, the multiple investors, and blah, blah, blah. They say it's mispriced. Adobe's mispriced. I can't see Adobe as mispriced. You know? Adobe's not mispriced. Adobe is exactly where it should be. Finance. Obviously that's, let's go to Adobe. What is it at right now? Adobe's at 192. Wow, it's a lot of trading. How many? It's only 26,000? Okay, maybe not. Let's do 6 months. Look at that. Look at that. 2.9 million. Oh my gosh. Dude, 5 million? And now you're at 15 million right now, and it's just going down. Dude, 190. You are literally down half. You're down half. Wow. You're literally down half in 1 year. Okay. There you go. And they're saying that we live in a how do you spell that? Saspocalypse? Let's just look up apocalypse. Oops. Should we go to X for this? There you go. Saspocalypse. Saspocalypse. That is crazy. That is crazy. We're gonna put that up on X too. Why not? Let's copy this image. Let's send that out. That's crazy. I was not expecting that at all. That is crazy. Dude, that's half. If I put in $100,000, I only have $50,000 left. I wasn't expecting that. Next one. Salesforce. You're 1 year. They were two. They're not at half, but they're darn near close to it. They're darn near close to it. 270, 148. And look at that. Look at that avalanche. Dude, that is in June. That was within the last 3 weeks. That was at 211. And now you literally went to 149. You lost $60. 60 out of 211, like 1/4. That is crazy. Wow. Dude, from June alone, you know what we're going to do? We're going to track these. We're going to track these. That's going to be added to this. Tracking. We're going to track a couple of companies. SpaceX, one of them. Adobe. Salesforce. Is Figma public? I think Figma's public. Whoops. Figma's public. Let's see what Figma's doing. They're charting at 19. They had a shot up. I don't know what the shot up's about. Look at that. 18 to 20. When I was doing year to date, wow, look at that avalanche. Look at these calls. A lot of analyst ratings. Holy cow. Wow. Dude, it started at 124. Are you kidding me? Not even a year ago? This is 731. 64. This is a lot of the IPOs right here. Let's zoom in on this. Can you zoom in on this? Well, you can only just do this. Look at this. 8-1, it goes public to the people. Everybody cashes out right here. All of Wall Street cashes out at 8-1, at 142. 4 days later, it's at 79. That's half. You went half in 4 days. That's why people are in VO. VO. I don't know if it's on, it's not here. Oh, it might be. It's an ETF. And, 1 year, that's why. You go into something different. Say a year ago, it was at 556. Now it's at 685. You're just consistent. Then clearly this went up. Something happened in March 27th that it went skyrocketing. I actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do that. We're going to add that segment. This is disgusting what the market is doing, to be honest, right now. This is another one I would not investment advice. I would not invest in this. Not investment advice. But yeah, look at the analyst calls on this. Let's see if any big ones. Any Morningstar. See, that's weird. That's a bad user experience. There you go. Goldman upgrades it, says to buy. It goes up. And then who says this? Earnings. Pew. Earnings. 107. Pew. Bye-bye. Cliff. Wow, look how much it's down. 5%. Over 5.5% today. Dude, I'm telling you, the market is going to be so different in the future. So different. Trax should be in the community. Well, he was an interesting fella. If he wanted to come back. It's not for everyone. I'm going to start tracking in here. I'm going to log in. I haven't logged into Yahoo in a while. We're going to track Netflix. Why? Netflix is part of entertainment. And if you're not getting, let's see what Meta is. Because if you're not getting your entertainment from somewhere, dude, they are all down. What is going on today? Year to date? Okay, very volatile. Very volatile. Who the heck? This is clearly based on vibes and insider trading. My opinion, totally fake news. Wow. Even Meta. Wow, that's a climb, 5-year climb. This is interesting. It was doing very well all the way up until probably an earnings call. Yeah, that's January 29th earnings call. Off a cliff. Then maybe another, then another earnings call. Off a cliff all the way to the low of 520. And then this is something I would never get involved in. Look at that. That looks like a Tour de France map, which is actually coming up very soon, actually. Tour de France 2026. When does it start? This is the only one I would actually follow. These guys are psychos. Just absolute monsters. All right, when do you start? It's sometime in July. Okay, start date. Come on, Google. Oh, July 4th. There you go. Well, they helped us with the independence, so we'll give it to France. Then we help them out every single time after that. The unified core is built. This is the unified core base. Repoint all 3 now. Full verify. Yes. Bottom line. Okay. 2 things besides that you should know about a product. A product has to actually exist to sell. The pre-flight, okay. Yes or no, anything is left in this build. This is very important. We're going to open this up to developers and proposals and developers who are actually looking to showcase their products. Send it. All right, where does the feature stand for the member launch? Okay, so that's good. None of these are on, okay. None of these are on the new MCP tool, because unfortunately they started before. So I might, neither blocks anything. Okay, let's close you down. What we're gonna eventually do is, oh yeah, I'll go over the rest of the news and then I gotta pop out, because I gotta get ready. Yes, they need to get their design team. Apple needs to pump up their design team by a lot, to say the least. It's embarrassing, to be honest, where Apple is right now. 700,000 couriers. I think that is going to be more globally, because whether it's China or the United States, you'll see a story really soon. Obviously, Chevron is doing a 20-year deal for power. Obviously, this is where all the oil companies are going to go, whether it's Exxon, BP, doesn't matter. They're all consolidated at the top. But the biggest deal killer is going to be, hopefully, the United States doesn't get paid off by the energy companies, aka Chevron, Valdez, BP, all these guys, Exxon, by them, and then stopping nuclear. Nuclear is better. China's going to be potentially leading the world in medical because they don't have what we have in the United States, which is a lot of bureaucratic, and mindfully so. You don't want, obviously, people to be tested upon against their will, but China doesn't have that. So China can do whatever they want when it comes to tumors, cancers, the heart, the brain, the mind, things like that. So it'll be interesting what they do medically. It'll be very interesting medically what they do, because they don't have the regulatory body that the United States has. You know, the amount of testing, obviously we need to, because obviously you don't want to falsify claims, even though that does sound. Musk predicts AI will surpass all humanity in 4 to 5 years. I would agree with this. I think that it's going to be 5 to 7 years. In other words, AI is going to be at such a level that humanity is either subsequent to AI, or we're essentially working for AI, as bad as it sounds. You know, like if a surgeon does not need to take a break because it's a robot and all it needs is precision of the scalpel, you're essentially loading up the scan the person is in front of you, what's necessary in the exact area, and you are just threading with precision everything. You know, like, who's to say that you don't have a personable PT robot that doesn't look like it's metal? You know, that's the next thing, is that you make it human. You know, it's like one of those things that my brother doesn't mow his own lawn. He has someone else mow their own lawn. What if there's someone else has someone else mow their own lawn? Or maybe somebody owns a fleet of robotic lawnmowers. You know, it's literally the next step of moving away from stuff you don't want to do. You don't want to do math. You didn't want to do your own taxes, so you hire an accountant. You don't want to sell your own house, so you hire a real estate agent. That's essentially what it's going to come down to. You just go, I don't want to do all the menial tasks in my life. The problem is that we are lazy, and the only thing that humans have is labor. I've said this many times. We have nothing more than labor, and labor gives us our purpose. And if you remove our labor, you remove our purpose. And now you're purposeless because everything is handled for you. You are literally doing nothing. There's no need for you to go to school. There's no need for you to have higher education. There's nothing. There's no need. Why do you need higher education? You have a robot doing all that. And you go, oh, that's dystopian and everything else. Yeah, potentially. You know, like, potentially. But then what if it's building the future without labor unions? No labor unions. You don't have to worry about going on strike, or I need to be paid $150,000 more dollars. You know, I just went through multiple labor union things in New York City. It's like, dude, you're getting paid $175,000 to clip tickets. What do you need? An extra 10K? What is the extra 10K gonna do? So you go, okay, you know what? Have the robots do it. We don't need labor unions to build this skyscraper. Oh, the robot fell? Okay, at least it wasn't a person. This is gonna come down to the century of safety. This is why. Figure AI, who actually creates and builds robots, literally has more robots building than human employees. You know, he stated he would be on Mars by 2024. Yeah, that was the whole New York Times article where he's only right 20% of the time on his. But what he does is different than someone else. There's two ways to bring in talent. Number one is you produce unbelievable products, and then people will go there. Think Apple, think Anthropic. The other is Elon Musk. The other is Jeff Bezos, where you say, this is what I want to do, who's on board? So he gives this crazy thing, I'm going to be on Mars in 2024. Meanwhile, they're shipping out Tesla Roadsters with a robot in it, with that music, which was pretty funny. It's literally humans. The only reason humans are here is for beauty, creativity, and creating. You know, we create. That's what we do. So if robots are doing the menial tasks and we're here to create, what are we creating? You know, why? Here comes the soapbox. So I'm taking the train. I've said this story before. I see a guy way in the distance. He's probably about 500 yards, 5 football fields away from me. Say a whole soccer field, 2 soccer fields away. The guy's perched behind, he's got his yellow vest. He's perched behind this pillar and he's just scrolling. I don't know what he's scrolling on, but you could just see the motion. And I go, this guy's doing nothing and getting paid for it. He's literally sitting behind a pole in the darkness where nobody could see him, and he's just scrolling on the internet. What is he on? Instagram, YouTube, iCharles.com? I have no idea. That dude should not be doing that. Okay, that's not seen as good in anybody's eyes. So what if we remove his job and now he's able to do what he wants? Is he pissed off? Is he still pissed off? Dude, you're sitting behind a pillar scrolling on Instagram. Or are you able to do whatever you want? No, they're gonna fight for sitting behind a pillar. So then us, the public is going to be like, yeah, we don't want you sitting behind a pillar. We want to buy this guy for $150,000 to do your job. And now you can go sit on a beach and scroll whatever you want. Now you have universal basic income. Do I want that? No, because you remove their agency. You remove their will, their power to be useful to society. That's what everyone wants to be. I want to be useful to society. I want to be useful to my friends. I want to be useful to this company. I want to be useful to my wife, my kids that I don't have, which is essentially purpose. And that's what Elon, Ray Dalio has talked about. Finally, Peter Diamandis started talking about is that humans need purpose. If you are purposeless, then you are going to be in chaos. You're going to be in chaos. Yeah, China doesn't need oil from the Strait, by the way. They have enough connections throughout the world, Venezuela, whatnot. But there's a lot to think about. I'm going to be upstate in the middle of nowhere, opening a house, hopefully just using all the machinery, weed whacking. But it's going to come down. It's going to come down hard. It's going to be very slow trickle. It's kind of like this. Very slow trickle. You know, we're up and down, 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 up and down. Boom, down. Okay, up and down, up and down. Oh, we're up, and then boom, down. Up and down, and then boom, down. And then this is going to look like, it's not going to look like this over 5 years. It's going to look like this going down over 5 years. You know, it's already down 2.5%. You know, $15. That's a lot of money. Let's see what Apple is. Apple's another one. I guess now that they have a product guy, wow, look at that. 6 months, they went from 245 to 315. Wow. What the heck? That doesn't make any sense. I understand that Tim Cook, this is Tim Cook right here. 124, 5X. Well, I think it's split in there, right? I think it's split. I could be wrong though. Look at that. Trading on, look at that, 2004. $2, $3, $4 with Steve Jobs still at the helm. Steve Jobs leaves, or dies, I should say. Rest in peace, Steve. Probably right around here, what, 2013, 2014? 6 million is the volume. And then stock split, boom, 312. That's a wild, wild gain right there. So, all right, boys and girls, I am, who's going to build Chipotles? I know. That's the thing. Do you trust someone to be able to scan you know what I saw? So they built a chapel in 1911 at this cemetery that I was at, the Greenwood Cemetery. Greenwood Cemetery, Cemetery Chapel. Look at this chapel. Look at this thing. So you're telling me in 1911, they built this in whatever amount of years, 2 years, 3 years, you know? I walked inside, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at the beauty of this. Just perfect, perfect, perfect. The organ, perfect. Just the spacing is perfect. The decorations is perfect. And then we go to Chipotle. You know? Then we go to Chipotle. What do you want? You want this? Or do you want this? What do you want? A box? An ugly box? Sorry, Mark. I know you're not the architect. Or do you want this? Do you want this? You know, just absolute If you've never been to Grand Central, absolute perfection. Do you want this? Or do you want, I think the choice is clear. Even the original. Look at the original McDonald's. This even had character. Had a little bit of character. Had a little fellow up here. Had a little arches. What do you think? Arches and steeples. Arches and steeples. Arches and steeples. Even the way people dressed, a little classy. The cars were classy. What do you want to go to? What kind of future do you want? Do you want beauty? Like this? I was in here yesterday. Stained glass windows. Unbelievable. Even the way even this thing looked so heavy. And those were all candles at one time. And then you got the altar. Unbelievable. It's like, what do you want in the future? That's the question. Beauty, truth, and goodness is an equal sign between them. Chipotle, McDonald's, so beautiful. Look at the design. Let's go to 15 Central Park West. This is the only one that has been built recently that is classy. 15 Central Park West. This is a lot of money. You get a one bedroom for $5 or $6 million. And it's classy. It's classy. It's classy. It's right off of Central Park. You have a building here, a building here. It's very exclusive to get into. You've seen it from Central Park. It's classy. It doesn't stand out as, let's go to, this. Who wants this? Everyone's been complaining about either 111 West 57th. Look at the pencil buildings. You got 150 Central Park South. You got what's his name? JD and Associates. You got 157 West 57th. Then over here to the other side, you got Fifth Avenue. Which one do you want? That's the future. They were actually attempting this, which would have been absolutely insane. That would have been absolutely insane. Imagine that. That would have been wild. All right, well, that's the question that we need to live with. Vibe coding is even at Bain & Capital. Even at Bain & Capital, they are vibe coding their clients' tools for them and then giving it to them. It went from 15 to, or 5 to 15, Bain & Capital. Huge. Biggest law firm in the world. Forgot the name. It's losing I did the news about it. What are they going to be doing? Oh, they're actually going to be creating every single court case that has ever been ruled. They're going to be the Bloomberg of lawsuits. Every single lawsuit ever filed is going to be in their computer, self-recursive learning about anything that's coming down the line, and they're just going to be able to print whatever they want, and they're going to use AI to go over their own court cases. They're not going to be living on Anthropic. Maybe they're using Claude, but they're having their own servers. Bloomberg essentially took in every single piece of data and built a supercomputer that then sold it to enterprise models that then had proposals by every single financial firm in the entire country and charged them a crazy amount per seat. Who's to say you don't do that for healthcare or a doctor? You take a picture of something on their body, what should I do? Instead of doing a CAT scan where you're making 10K, 5K, whatever, maybe you actually do blood work instead. I'm just so bothered by how much money is being made off of people's expense, and then people fight against this, against their will. You know? The last thing I'll say this, you see basically restructuring the entire education system around AI. Yeah. Meanwhile, you have what's her name, Weingartner, Department of Education, who's been in New York City Department of Education, then she went up to the National. Weingartner, Department of Education, forgot her first name, Randy Weingartner. She calls on a ban on AI. Randy, get out of office. Be like Mitch McConnell. Be like all the other people. Just Nancy Pelosi. You made your money. You made your money. Enjoy. She goes, there's a something part plan. How much does she make? Yeah, right. Yeah, base salary, I was going to say. Base salary. Yeah, right, she's making $500K. Look at that. The amount of corruption. It's unbelievable. How we put AI bots around that? She put out a whatever point plan. I agree with the first part, which is up until a certain age, no cell phones. You got to develop your brain. Then you introduce cell phones or AI. And then you use AI for your benefits. Point, plan, AI. I can't believe this made the perplexity. So there had to have been other resources. So it was a 10-point plan, ban screens, okay. But then she says, limit artificial intelligence. Why does she say that? Maybe because teachers who are under labor unions can't be fired. They suck as a teacher. You can't fire them. And they get money because they get a portion of the teacher's dues every single year. Oh, yeah, so you want more teachers and not less teachers. You actually want more administrators than less administrators. You know? At this point, you're right. The dollar, unfortunately, in the United States runs everything, which there's a point where you go, let's look at the common good, the collective common good of this is the only generation right now. And shut up about boomers, okay? Boomers. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing, Matt? What are you doing, Steven? Jessica? Brittany? Boomers. Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sitting there pissed off, fat and overweight, not doing anything, gonna get fired, hates AI. Great, what are you doing? It's not boomers, it's you. Take responsibility, okay? Go create content. Go out and learn AI. Understand that this thing literally is going to replace your job and every person you know's job. And then we have to level up. Okay? Well, I need to be on my medications. Maybe you don't be. Maybe because that's a for-profit system. Maybe you take a prick of your blood and then it goes through AI and it says, actually, you don't need to be on these 10 medications. You just have to stop being a slob and eat beets and salads instead of ice cream and donuts. And you got to move about 10,000 steps. And maybe you have a free robot that drags you out of bed at 6 a.m. to do that. Well, no, actually, I like my marketing job at Meta. You know? People just don't like standards. That's what it comes down to. They hate standards. I don't want standards, so I am going to just fight everything against my will. And then guess what? Overnight, these guys are going to come in. They're going to look more and more human. Once the sensors come directly into the eyes and they can sense, and maybe they have 4 hands instead of 5. Maybe they got 10 legs, or maybe they're on a wheel. You know, why limit it to a human being if you could build whatever you want? You know, maybe one robot has 10 arms and it's just literally doing whatever it wants, multiple things at the same time, processing. Maybe it's got 14 legs. And am I the one pushing this forward? No, it's coming down for us. We need to level up. Are you a horse trainer when the Model T Ford was just introduced to the assembly line? Well, you got to adjust. Are you mad that the interstate highway system by Eisenhower was paved the way for people traveling all over the United States in the 1950s and 60s, and now air travel or staying at home is different? You don't have to stay at home at the same area. Same thing. This is just a different type, and we're the ones living through it. Do people get mad at me for being a real estate agent that looks at it and be like, we might not need real estate agents. We don't need mortgage brokers. We need mortgage bankers. You don't need travel agents. You know? You can be mad about the robo-taxis when you're paying less. It's only when it's in your backyard. That's it. When it's in your backyard. So, all right, that's me signing off. I got a lot to do. I'm going to be gone for the next 3 days. I hope to be back on Friday. I have to go up, and I just posted something, and just my X feed is totally off. It just starts serving me up stuff that I'm like, I don't even know why this is on my feed. And then that's why I don't go on it. The feed is not feeding. Yeah, I got to go upstate. I got to open up the house. My uncle, my sister, my aunt. Open the house. Lots of weed whacking. Lots of tools. Lots of going into small crawl spaces. Turning on the water, the hot water, the electricity. Putting up the screens. Getting it ready for the summer. Then dropping my mom off my brother's. My niece is going to be graduating. Then I got to pick my mom up. Got to bring her home. Then I got to drive my sister up there. It's going to be a lot. We hope to be at Friday. I also want to do some scouting along the way. What are some places along the east side of the Hudson that are good places to look at? You know, it is far away from the family, and I also need a girlfriend, or a wife, I should say. You know, I also need to be making money, so she's not like, okay, what are we going to do? I meet her father, and I say, hey, can I take your daughter, Deborah's hands or Mary, hand in marriage? And he goes, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I sit on the internet inside a booth and just start vibe coding and talk about AI news. Oh my gosh, AI news? What are you, nuts? How much money do you make? Oh, I make about 25 cents per video. Oh my gosh. Don't worry, I've been consistent since July. I'm going to be doing a triathlon. It's been out of control since then. I've been putting my head down, really burrowing into July and August is going to be head down. Once July 4th passes, it's going to be, obviously next week I'm going to be going into it, and then July 4th, people get lazy, including myself, sees family members, everything, and then boom. And then boom. Enough just messing around. That's what it comes down to. So, Fallout, no, I haven't seen a video since probably Wolf of Wall Street, and that's not even a joke. I don't remember the last video I saw, or film I saw. I don't remember the last time I seen a series. I don't watch TV. Like, I'll see here and there because somebody else is watching, and like yesterday, I watched the US Open for an hour. I could care less. There's going to be another US Open. I need to get my money straight. I got to get my relationship straight. I got to get where I'm going to be filming straight. I got to make sure that July and August is the best July and August I've had in 7 years, since 2019. I go in, I'm able to actually compete and finish 70.3 miles in Ironman, New York. Very important. Got to be biking up and down. You got to be swimming open water. You know, very important. All right, so I am hopping out. I've said that a couple of times, but I will see you hopefully on Friday. I'll be in there. I'll be vibe coding in the background. I'm going to be putting up a change log. I'm going to be making sure there's a visual pass on mobile. I'm going to make sure the PWA app, I'm going to make sure that Botenston.com is running, the articles are running, that the analytics is increasing, the amount of bots that are coming in every single day, the amount of crawlers that we have coming in every single day. I have a lot of videos that I have scheduled that need to be put out there and produced and put on iCharles.com, on YouTube. Very important. I did one on Friday. I didn't even know I was live. Put it out there. I go, oh, wow, I was live. So I put it on private. I actually deleted it because I want to put it through the editing software, get an article, get the description, get the title, get the everything else. So it will be interesting, though. It will be interesting. The ballroom. Yeah. Yeah, I could care less about what's happening at the White House. You're going to have another president. You're going to have another president. It is the macro trends. I went through the 90s when there was Ross Perot and he was a third-party candidate and we got to do this because of our money and immigration. It was the same talking points. Then you went through Bush. Then you went through Obama. Then you went through Clinton. Then you went through whatever his name is. Then Biden. Then you went through Trump again. It's like, we're still here. We're still here. We're still talking about the same things. It's the debt. It's the immigration. It's the social causes. It's the... Dude, this is way, way above politics. When someone brings in politics, I go, we're calling a timeout because yellow flag on that and red flag. This is way above this. You're going to have people come and go. You're going to have new governors, new senators. I went through all the mayors in New York City. New York City looks exactly the same. They said it was done. They said everyone's going to leave. People just migrate to where there's energy and opportunity. New York City's going nowhere. We are still having the FIFA World Cup. The New York Knicks just won. The US Open was just here. We're going to have the US Tennis Open here. We have so many people here. It's disgusting. It's just humanity at its finest when it comes to gross overpopulation. It's going nowhere. We're way above that. We are talking about big level stuff. Politicians, they're all bought and paid for by corporations, so we have to create an environment of corporate legislation by the people instead of by the government. Government is so lost right now. So lost. Bernie said 50% on AI compute. You had someone else propose something else. I forgot who it was. Stupid proposal. And then Randy Weingartner's talking about 10-point plan about the Department of Education. Completely lost. Government is completely lost. They are beholden to the private sector for the first time in probably 150 years since the Pullman case that happened in the late 1800s where there was a monopoly. That was like 1880. There was a monopoly by the Pullman Corporation. They said there was a monopoly. So it's the same thing what happened with Rockefeller. There was a monopoly there on Standard Oil, and then they dispersed. It was still under Standard Oil. They put it under different LLCs. We're finally coming to a place where government is under there. Red card is also known as a red flag. All right. I will be popping back in hopefully Friday. Enjoy your rest of the days, and I will be back better than ever. And we're going to be hitting it hard. We're going to be hitting it hard. In shape, streaming, doing all the good things. All the good things. All the positive values. The sobriety is going to be at hopefully a week from now. That's going to be almost 2 weeks. And going to the gym, going into the pool, getting on the bike, getting on the treadmill, getting into shape. That's what it comes down to for all of us. All right, inspirational.